Several people, some of which perform in a black metal band, inject themselves with heroin when faced with the prospect of losing custody of their children or losing the lives of friends and loved ones. Heroin offering a brief momentary release from suffering that motivates them to linger within a nihilistic recess with no intention of leaving it. This is Black Metal Veins, a film by the enigmatic Lucifer Valentine, filmed and edited by Lucifer Valentine himself. Black Metal Veins is a film that is primarily a documentary, but utilises elements of narrative film to provide an added depth of unsettling detail. Black Metal Veins, for the most part, is an honest observation of the impact that hard drug addiction has on people and those closest to them. Custody of children is lost. Parents, unaware of how to help their adult children out of this pit of despair, wish to provide support but feel clueless. The physical impact of drug use takes its toll, with the faces of these young people scabbing, the growth of cysts, intense vomiting, and eventually death. With such an uncomfortable subject to observe, the black metal music, a subgenre of heavy metal utilizing a raw and abrasive sound, serving only as the backdrop for the majority of the film. Black Metal Veins' staged scenes do fall into gratuitous and exploitative. For example, the coughing up of fake blood during Raven's overdose and supposed death. It is unpleasant to watch as this young woman coughs up blood before her eventual dramatized death, and yet staged moments such as this illustrate an element of truthfulness. Unfortunately, people do overdose due to their addictions, and it is a difficult sight to behold. While this sequence may be dramatized for shock value, it also reveals a plausibility that death is around the corner without qualified support. This is demonstrated in another sequence, a more realistic sequence and likely not staged, when two heroin users express that people they once knew are now dead. They express it nonchalantly, in a blasé manner that expresses a lack of concern regarding death. To them, what is death if there is no point in living? Some of the addicted people that Lucifer Valentine's film focuses on, during its most authentic moments, express a genuine sense of nihilism and misanthropy. When these people have lost everything from jobs, their children, their families and friends, what is the reason to continue living? A suspension, a decay of motivation for life fuels the addictions that gradually kills some of the people interviewed. When interviewed, some of them express an absolute hatred. Some of their views are racist, homophobic, and their sense of humour is morbid, illustrating that these are not people aiming to impress anybody. They are unabashedly, unflatteringly themselves. During these sequences, when interviews reveal the first times people tried heroin, the times they found out their friends had died, the lives they once lived before trying drugs, these are the moments when Black Metal Veins is at its most authentic and fascinating. As they inject heroin or smoke crack pipes, they drift away, almost completely lifeless. This footage is uncomfortable to watch, as it is most likely not staged. It illustrates a moment of vulnerability. They're high, half asleep, half unconscious, injecting drugs into parts of their bodies which still offer some remnant of feeling that they may soon lose. Sometimes when one drifts out of consciousness, someone else may grope and fondle their near lifeless bodies, adding harassment that is dreadfully uncomfortable to view. The injection of heroin into a pregnant belly intending to cause a miscarriage, groping and making out with an unconscious body, and injecting drugs straight into their neck are examples of sequences that test the viewer's ability to continue viewing. To watch through these sequences feels incredibly voyeuristic, experiencing that which we should not see, and yet it has been documented. The participants of the film likely aware of what the film entails. Lucifer Valentine's camera is unflinching and uncompromising, making sure that we are aware of how his interviewees spend their free time. On the one hand, it is incredibly exploitative and gratuitous, the most disturbing moments in this film portraying real sex, real vomit, and real drug-fueled highs that place the interviewees in moments of vulnerability. On the other hand, for a film to explore the extreme ugliness of drug addiction, it is important not to shy away from these difficult actions. It places Black Metal Veins in a curious ethical debate. Just because a filmmaker can film this and show it to an audience, does it mean that a filmmaker should? When Raven shows her armpit cyst, telling Lucifer Valentine's low-budget video camera that this is where the drugs end up when you miss the vein. As viewers, we see an example of the physical toll that regular use of these drugs takes on them. It is a dependency on a momentary release from their societal and social struggles, which upsettingly is tearing away at their physical form, leaving them with hollowed versions of themselves, physically and emotionally. When Raven shows old photographs and old home videos of herself, she is fresh-faced and optimistic, the exact opposite of herself within Black Metal Veins. This dependency on hard drugs, and the sex she has while high, after losing custody of her children and having difficult relationships with her family, is now the only source of enjoyment she seems to get from living. It's haunting to watch when people like Raven drift out of consciousness into this numbness, but it's also a realization that not everybody is born into the same privileges or with the same opportunities within society, and that unfortunately the support for drug users and rehabilitation just isn't always accessible to those unable to afford it. Black Metal Veins is, in an indirect way, therefore making a realistic observation about the inaccessibility of US healthcare. The access to healthcare needs to be available to all. Black Metal Veins is edited in a manner that many sequences utilize a fast-paced, quick-cutting technique that is expected of Lucifer Valentine's infamous vomit gore trilogy of films. Within Black Metal Veins, this editing technique can initially be jarring, but gradually the quick jump cut editing earns its place, brilliantly reflecting the delirium, frustration, and paranoid commentaries of those interviewed within the documentary. While a challenging approach to a documentary/dramatization film, this aggressive approach to editing eventually feels like the only appropriate way to deliver a film that blurs reality and dramatization in such a fascinating, engaging approach. In conclusion, Lucifer Valentine's Black Metal Veins is a highly disturbing film, a mixture of documentary and plausible dramatization. Black metal performances are intercut throughout the film, with some of the band members being those interviewed as they inject themselves with heroin or smoke crack. With zero budget and a cheap digital video camera, Lucifer Valentine demonstrates a strength as a guerrilla documentary filmmaker, a one-man film crew delving into dreadfully uncomfortable territory, stepping past the boundary of conventional tastefulness for the documentation of an unpleasant reality that most of us would shy away from.